Hey there, I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it's post-Super Bowl and Kendrick Lamar, and it's Billboard BREAKDOwn. I don't remember. So I know the majority of folks who watch this channel also watch my main channel Spectrum Pulse, and you probably saw my video exploring Drake and Party Next Door's collab album by, well, not really doing that, so much as delving into the slow-motion car crash that's been Drake's popular appeal for the past decade or so. And I purposefully kept Kendrick Lamar out of a lot of that conversation, at least as much as I could, because I didn't want to have to center the beef, which you can clearly tell if you've been reading between the lines. There's actually been some level of trauma for both acts. Why re-agitate it? But well, I'll actually have to talk about some sexy songs for you next week, although probably less than you might think. It's clear that America has not moved on from Kendrick Lamar's victory lap. Given the tailspin the United States is slipping into as a nation as we speak, guess you should be grateful for small blessings and putting one black man on a pedestal that he doesn't even want instead of listening to, I dunno, Black America at large, who are telling you all this was about to happen while white America shot themselves in the crotch en masse yet again. But you know what? Let's not get political. Enough about the senile, treasonous sex offender and the ketamine-abusing, video game cheating technocrat who also has allegations against him. The Top 10, where thanks to an instantly mimetic Super Bowl performance where even my parents were asking what was going on, and I just had this 1,000-mile stare, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar retook the top spot at number 1. Not surprising either. Huge sales, huge streams, a slight radio bump. It wasn't particularly close, but hell, the closest competition was himself, as Luther with SZA went up to number 2, as predicted on great streams, stronger radio, and finally some actual sales. Followed by TV Off with Lefty Gunplay at number 3, which is only slightly lagging behind in all categories. Now, there aren't many acts that can say they took the top 3 by themselves, especially independent of an album bomb. We'll get more into this later, but Super Bowls don't tend to do what Kendrick Lamar got with his, and if that's not a sign of his cultural ascendancy at this point, I don't know what is. Now, all that knocked back Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars down to number 4. Although in their case, a sharp drop-off in sales and softening streaming and radio were probably just as much a factors. Gaga dropping the album Mayhem will probably give this a boost, but I don't see it making another serious play for the top spot, especially when Squabble Up by Kendrick Lamar leapt right back into the top 10 at number 5, where despite having a video, it needed the Super Bowl to actually recover some of its streams alongside the radio. Now, this leaves Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish at number 6. It looks like the radio is finally dumping it, but good streaming is going to keep its descent pretty slow, and Apartment by Rose and Bruno Mars at number 7, which largely had a good but inconsistent week on the radio as the strength in sales and streaming seemed to be weakening, all of which held over a bar song Tipsy by Shaboozey, now down at number 8, which might somehow still be dominant on the radio, but you can absolutely tell it is on its way out. Now, this takes us to a new top 10 arrival, and one where I'll freely admit I'm stunned that it got this high. Pink Pony Club by Chappell Roan at number 9, the song that an incredibly niche selection of pop fans were raving about 5 years ago. It's now in the top 10. And we're better for it. I really love that Chappell Roan's career seems to have some serious legs behind it. That's a win. Finally, as if we didn't have enough Kendrick Lamar, 30 for 30 with SZA is at number 10. I'm lukewarm on this, but when the radio push is there alongside great streaming, might as well take advantage of the moment. Not gonna complain that much. Now, on our flip side are losers and dropouts, and in the latter group, it's more a conversation about the Weeknd's album bomb just kind of evaporating, and only taking a couple other minor songs with him that likely wouldn't make any year-end list for 2025 anyway, like Help Me by Real Boston Richie and Think I'm in Love with You by Chris Stapleton featuring Dua Lipa. Let's be honest, as much as I love that last song, it should have been gone months ago. But it also means our losers are a little bit scattered, so let's handle the Weeknd's first. Cry For Me at 27, Sao Paulo with Anita at 74, Baptized in Fear at 86, and Open Hearts at 94. You really can push that last one, Abel. It might be your best shot at a lasting radio hit from this album cycle. But then we have Bad Bunny's album bomb continuing to fade slowly. Ballet Inolvidable at 36, Nueva Yol at 48, El Club at 82, and Wiltita with Chewy at 100. The rest, rest, again, they're all over the place. Thankfully, I'm the Problem by Morgan Wallen fell hard to 19. Keep Dropping. Fat, Juicy, and Wet by Sexy Red and Bruno Mars hit 46. Haunted by Kane Brown and Jelly Roll hit 95. This can also keep dropping. And Weren't for the Wind by Ella Langley looks like it's not getting any proper traction at 98. So, alright, what's filling up all the gaps here? Well, a lot, actually. We have a ton of returns this week and a respectable number of gains. So let's deal with the non-Kendrick songs first in the former. Push to Start by Tyla came back at 96, alongside The Greatest by Billie Eilish at 93. Probably my favorite song from that album. Curious why it's back. Alongside Guess with Charlie XCX at 88. And Mutt by Leon Thomas getting more of a chance at 90. Then we also saw K by Rauw Alejandro and Romeo Santos bounce back again at 89. Alongside Backseat Driver by Kane Brown to 84. Looks like someone in his management decided to push an actual quasi-neo-traditional country song. That's kind of smart. But what might attract the most attention are two songs rebounding pretty high. Burning Down by Alex Warren at 76. It's had some residual radio for a bit, but the Joe Jonas remix might also be a factor. And Hard Fought Hallelujah by Brandon Lake at 63. Chalk this one up to huge sales, probably driven off the remix collab with, you know what, you didn't even have to guess it, it's Jelly Roll. But the story here is Kendrick Lamar off of the Super Bowl, and his surge was across the board with a lot of big performances. Of course, All the Stars with SZA is going to come back at 14 as one of their most commercial songs ever tied to Black Panther, but then Humble came back to 33, and like that with Future and Metro Boomin's at 45, and Whacked Out Murals at 77, and Euphoria at 80, and Dodger Blue with Wally the Sensei, Siet7X, and Roddy Ricch at 81. A few of those songs weren't even performed at the Super Bowl, and in the choice to play from GNX, he's getting renewed interest in them. I mean, I personally wanted to hear more from older albums, but this appears to have actually worked out in his favor. I'll be damned. And it's not just there. When we go to our gains, outside of the top 10, we also saw Peekaboo with AZ Chike leap up to 28, and Hey Now with Dodie 6 at 56. And again, for everyone who said Kendrick Lamar wasn't going to promote songs with local names on them because GNX was a lesser release, he had to have something else coming, Kendrick sure as hell doesn't seem to think so. I respect that. Now the rest, well, I'm thrilled Nissan Altima by Doja is surging off her debut to 73, and I don't mind Abracadabra by Lady Gaga at 13. The sales and streaming really love it. And that leaves us with Worst Way by Riley Green getting a bit of a radio boost to 87, and Tweaker by LeAngelo Ball at 31. Although, given how he performed that song at the NBA All-Star Game, this might fall off rather quickly, all I'm gonna say. And after all that, yeah, we only have 3 new songs this week. I'm as shocked as anyone, but I'm gonna take that breather given that Drake Party Next Door likely album bomb thing is coming next week. So, alright, let's get this started with number 68, Born Again by Lisa featuring Doja Cat and RAYE. The last time I talked about Lisa, it was last summer in 2024 when she swung a big collab with Rosalia. Seems to be the path that Blackpink members are taking to get that bigger name, or normally already popular in American markets, and use that for that bigger swing in pop debut. So I can't say I'm surprised that Lisa's doing it again. I was surprised that Doja Cat was one of those names. She hasn't really been one to hop on a lot of guest features, but when you bring in RAYE as well, I was curious, and I was also left with the immediate impression that RAYE and Doja Cat should have really kept this song for themselves. I mean, they wrote it, RAYE co-produced it, a demo of RAYE's solo version of the song exists from 2021. What exactly does Lisa add beyond getting handily outclassed by RAYE on the hook? Not saying Lisa can't contribute, but her single first verse is a masterclass of flubbed rhymes running more in attitude and fast patter around the sizzling synths, the dramatic strings, and the killer bass line. Seriously, the production, the hook, they're both terrific. And for a dramatic breakup song, it traces a lot of the template that RAYE had tested with Escapism, down to RAYE herself playing 070 Shake's role on the bridge, with Doja Cat handling a pretty good flip between crooning and dismissive bars. I gotta say, it's a little distracting how much Lisa's glam posturing just does not have the same edge in the breakup. I mean, not saying it's bad, it's probably the most I've liked a song from Lisa to date. I'd call it pretty damn good, but not for anything Lisa's doing. that might be a problem. Number 61, Ordinary by Alex Warren.
You got me kissing the ground, going sanctuary. Shadow me with your touch. Oh Lord, return me to dust. The angels up in the clouds are jealous knowing we fall.
You know, maybe the revival of Burning Down was more a factor coming from this debut. It was already flitting around the bottom of the Hot 100, so this second single allowed both of them to jump in. And I remember really liking Burning Down, so maybe this might follow out well in its wake. And what we got is a gospel-inflected version of an Imagine Dragons song. I'm deadly serious with that. The brittle acoustics that open up the track until the hook is dominated with the heavier percussion and a husky voiced singer where there is very little in the way of tangible rock grit, and it feels a little bit uncanny to be sold as a love song. I mean, it's not as awkward as Believer was, but it's got the same cadence and a lot of the same DNA, except where the love struck imagery is distinctly interwoven with biblical framing. And alright, okay, I don't hate Believer in the same way a lot of my peers do, and with the heavy backing choir and the faint touches of organ and strings, there's a little bit more to the dramatic swell, and Warren is a better writer, playing into how someone can be so out of the ordinary and that can feel transcendent to be in love with them, but it feels a little awkward to be delivered in this way. Not saying it's a bad song, all things considered. I can imagine to some it's gonna land a lot worse, but you know what, I don't mind it. I think it gets a pass. And finally, number 55, 20s by Giveon.
I pour my heart in. Don't get me started. Spend my time wondering why I spend my 20s on you.
I gotta be honest, after that song with Teddy Swims, I expected that Giveon would slide back into the R&B soul scene that never crosses over as much as it really should. So I was really surprised that not only did he chart another single for the lead up of his next album, it appears to have some tangible momentum behind it. Probably bad timing given what's coming next week, but he's certainly a better singer than either Drake or Party Next Door. I'm not about to complain. So the song we got, I kinda really wish I liked it more than I do, which takes a more traditional soul template with the gentle keys, the sharper drums, and Giveon's throaty belting as he regrets a relationship where he spent 6 years of his 20s with a partner and now it's over, where he mostly blames himself for it. And, okay, I know I'm in the minority who believes that you should be looking to assess relationships earlier rather than later. Don't waste your time. Don't stay in something that doesn't work just because it's comfortable or you're afraid to be alone. That's a life lesson that forces you to expand that comfort zone. Go outside your boundaries, find and meet different people. And maybe this would have clicked if we got more detail about the relationship, add some complexity and emotion to this breakup, but that's not why this is landing oddly. No, I think it's the production. The oddly psychedelic blending around the strings and guitars that doesn't really match the vibe, the cymbal and snare sounding a little bit too sharp and prominent in the mix, how the song just doesn't feel as warm and bass driven as it should. I don't know, it's not bad. Giveon songs do tend to grow on me, but this, sorry, I just don't think it really gets there. And yeah, that's a pretty short week. I guess the worst of all of them, at least to me, is 20s by Giveon, but only by a hair. It's not a bad song. Best of the week, I guess, is Born Again by Lisa featuring Doja Cat and RAYE, but even then, the margins, at least this week, are real thin between all three songs. Next week, however, whole lot of Drake and Party Next Door. I'd say stay tuned, but that feels more like a threat. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.